Hello everybody. I hope that you're well. If you're new here, a huge welcome to my channel. And if you are somebody who already watches my videos, welcome back. I'm so delighted to have you here. Today I'd like to talk about expansion. So before I start, I just want to kind of explain how I see expansion, just to make sure that hopefully we're on the same page. But expansion is something that basically once I saw it, I could no longer unsee it. And for me, expansion isn't just the ability for something to grow, right? Or to become more of something, but it's flow. It's the way that we move in rhythm with things. It's the way that opportunities kind of emerge. It's the emergence of life, really, how we kind of ebb and flow with everything, right? And for me, that is what expansion means. Now, as we know, the law of polarity, there are always two opposing poles towards anything that we have, do, be in life. So the opposite of expansion is contraction. And this is where typically we talk about things like making ourselves small. We talk about kind of like maybe it's resistance is contraction. Maybe it's looking at life through a slightly negative type lens, right? Where you're sort of lacking in something. And that's really when we talk about operating from a place of contraction, tends to be that maybe your mindset, maybe your beliefs, maybe there's something in your world that is maybe dimming the glimmer of kind of like the highest expression of what that could possibly be, right? So this is what I mean by expansion. This is what I mean by contraction. And it was really interesting because it was something that just became very obvious to me this week. And though I like to think that I do operate from a place of expansion as much as I possibly can, because at the end of the day, I am a human and I'm having the human experience. Well, it was really interesting because I started to really notice the places where maybe I wasn't operating as much expansion as I thought I was. Maybe that's what I should say. And it was I was watching somebody else also having a conversation, or having a conversation with somebody else, and they were talking about their business and they were talking about money. And I'll just be really honest, they're talking about money. And I really could see it, this place of like wanting to be expansive, wanting to be, positive and wanting to kind of like feel all the energies and everything to do with abundance and prosperity. But actually, real life was kind of like dragging it down a little bit. And they were looking at it very much from a place of contraction. So, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? And I thought it'd be helpful to kind of like chat about this on the video. So let me know if any of this resonates or if you see yourself in any of this or not, right? Maybe you don't see yourself in this at all, and that's cool as well. So with money, for example, one of the typical places I often see it is when we're looking at bank accounts. We kind of like look at the sum that we have and then we start to subtract. This much is going for these bills, this much is going for these financial commitments, this much might be going into a savings pot, this much is going here. And so what you're doing is watching this bank balance that you have go down, 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 down. And for many people, their nervous system will start going into, fight, freeze, fawn, or flight, right? And you'll start to kind of feel this like stress and tension around it, that this number is going down, when actually it's just a number. And it has been proven, and we know this, that energy is actually, money is energy in motion, right? So when we're looking at it, the way to take something like that, because at the end of the day, we know we've got financial commitments to pay. We know that there are going to be things that are going to be coming out of our bank accounts. And I've seen many, many different people, like from manifestation point of view, talk about money, like sort of say, oh, I'm so grateful that I get to pay my financial commitments. I'm so grateful to have this money, blah, blah, blah. But actually, if that's not coming from a place of feeling genuinely grateful and really kind of feeling that money is all part of this like energetic flow that you have in your life, you're actually introducing more resistance because you're actually saying those things from a place of contraction, i.e., you're watching it going down, but you're not necessarily, you're feeling that in your body, though you're trying to convince your mind that it's something else. And so what we do is try to take a step back and go, well, actually, if I was to look at this from a place of expansion, what would that mean? Right? If I was looking at my financial commitments being paid and everything, how can I look at that from a point of expansion? Well, if we understand that expansion is flow, if we understand that expansion is rhythm, if we understand that expansion is things in motion, okay? So for most people, they will have some kind of income that they can rely on, right? Even if you're an entrepreneur and your income's up and down, you'll always have some kind of view of where that income could possibly be coming from, right? But expansion is also things like, being aware of that there is possibility and there is opportunity everywhere, right? It surrounds us. There is opportunity and possibility everywhere. And it's just having that kind of like awareness that this small thing that you are thinking the income has to come in from is actually a really tiny part. But if you were to take a step back and start going, wow, actually, you know, there are loads of opportunities. They may not be obvious to me right now, but there are loads of different possibilities. There are lots of different opportunities. Things flow, right? Money's always flowing into my bank account because that is truth, that is fact, right? It's always in motion. How amazing is that? How amazing is it that money gets to kind of flow into my bank account? The money also then gets to go out in the world. So whether it's going out in the world as financial commitment, whether it's going out in the world as a saving or an investment or something like that, right? It's in motion. It is fluid. It is moving. And that is the actual definition of what expansion truly is, right? And it's just being able to kind of in that moment catch yourself and go, oh, if I'm looking at something and, and say I'm calculating like, your financial commitments, payments and things, because that's a very normal human thing to do. It's something that most people have been taught from a very, sort of very young age. I even have it with Alice where she'll come home from school and she'll tell me that she's getting these lessons around kind of like finances and how to manage them and blah blah blah, which makes me very cross, by the way, because they're teaching them these things but they're also telling them they've got a ceiling on their income, and I'm not somebody who believes that you have a ceiling, literally, because I think you can generate any type of resource that you want, and I do believe that, and I know that to be true because that is a belief that I hold in my life, and that for me is something that is very expansive in my life. But it's also because I think I am an entrepreneur and it is a way of life and being for me that I have naturally stepped into, and I've always known. The times where I've felt very suffocated by it all or very restrictive by it all is when I've actually had a paid job, and that is my full-time job, and I can't hold or do anything else because I naturally want to kind of like hold lots and lots of different pieces. And so when we're looking at life, like in flowers, right? I've got these beautiful flowers on my desk. Here they are. They're sort of they're sort of bloomed a little bit. But if I look at these, right, and you kind of go, well, look, if I turn the other way, you'll see some of them coming to the end of their life. And you could look at that and go, oh gosh, look, right? They're coming to the end. Like we need to throw them away. We need to get new ones. Yeah, I'm still looking at them going, gosh, look at these, how pretty they are. And they've bloomed, right? They're really a pretty pink. You can see how much the carnation has opened up. And they're still very much there, kind of very, very expansive, right? Sitting there in all of their beautiful blooming. And I'm still getting to enjoy them. I'm not really noticing the bits that need to be deadheaded. I mean, I was deadheading a few this morning. I probably should do that now. Um, but I was looking at these thinking, gosh, they've had a really lovely life. Like they've been fed, I've been trimming the stems. They've been actually in this vase now for a couple of weeks. And I always refresh the water. I always cut all of their stems. I give it its flower food. I give it as much nourishment as I possibly can so that they can continue to expand. They can continue to grow. Okay. And if I didn't do any of those things, then I'm not really setting them up for success, right? I'm actually dumping them in a vase, not really taking care of them, and expecting them to kind of look nice for me without any kind of love being poured into them. And for me, that feels like very kind of constrictive kind of energy that is really from is like a contracted place, right? Whereas when I'm looking at these, I just see expansion, I just see beauty, and I get so much joy because I don't know if you can see in back of my thing, I've got more flowers over there. I literally have flowers over my house because I'm very fortunate that I'm able to buy them, but also because that I love flowers and I love looking after them, and I love seeing, how long they'll be with me for. It is something that brings me a great deal of joy. And so when I'm looking at things like that, especially in my business, I things like I want to be visible. So if we talk about visibility for a second, lots of people say to me, especially from a marketing perspective, oh, I need to do more marketing in my business. I want to be more visible No, I'm amazing. That's brilliant. Let's have a look at that for you, right? Sometimes I'll look at the human design chart just to kind of see what's going on there energetically. Sometimes we may look at belief coding just to see what stories and things are being told. Sometimes we're going to look at like nervous system regulation and just work out kind of where maybe it's causing a little bit of fluctuation in their body, you know. But the most telling things are actually in the stories or in the words that are being used. And I'm a big believer that words shape our experience. And so when somebody says to me, I want to be visible, but they're then hiding from photos being taken of them in the camera, or they are saying no to invites that are being extended to them. Okay. They're saying that they want this thing, which is visibility, but they're operating from a place of contraction in all of these other areas. Now, you could actually say to me, well, Effie, you know what? It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. Well, if you were not able to attend, say you received an invite, you're not able to attend an event, and it's because it clashes something in the diary, that's a very different energy. I'm talking about the energy where someone's extended an invite to you. It is something that could be a fit. There might be some good people there. It might be, you're free, for example, to be able to go and enjoy the invitation, things like that. And then you choose to say no as a deliberate action. That is you operating from a place of contraction. And the opposite to that as well is that if you turn around and you say, I want to be visible, I want my voice to reach more people, I want more people to see my work, I want more people to experience the amazing gifts and services that I'm able to share with the world, I want more people to see my products, right? All of those things sound very, very expansive. But in the moment someone says to you, "Oh, can I take your photo?" and you turn around and you say, no, I don't like being on camera, no thanks, right? That is you almost saying to the universe, yes, I want it, I want it. And the universe goes, okay, let's just see, let's just make sure, work out where you are comfortable, where you're not comfortable. And that response will tell the universe all it needs to know. Oh, he or she isn't ready yet, right? They're not ready yet. You can hold both, but it's whether both is coming from a point of expansion, right? Or whether actually you're contracting when it's actually being offered to you. And with business as well, many people will say to me, I want to have a business, I want to I want it to sustain my life. I want, hopefully it'll give me all these opportunities. It's going to do all these wonderful things. Now, I'm somebody who believes that business really can change the world. Like I think entrepreneurs can change the world. I think anybody can achieve anything if they, if it's something in their heart and they've got a true desire for it. And I am hugely passionate about helping people build multifaceted businesses, ones that can kind of encompass all your gifts and all that you are, so that you can, create a beautiful life in alignment with you and in balance with this amazing business, this vehicle that goes out into the world and shares a piece of you with everybody, right? I love that so much, and it's something I'm so, 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 so passionate about. But it's really interesting because as we move through the business journey, lots and lots of different things can occur. Maybe things don't move as quickly as you'd like. Maybe you're required to make a slightly different decision that makes you feel uncomfortable. Maybe something is being asked of you that requires a little bit of courage. Maybe, something has happened where life is lifing and there's been a momentary pause. Like all of these things are very, very normal. What isn't normal is where people are able to focus on their business, I think, 24/7 all the time. Because, yes, that's what creates burnout. But I think those people maybe aren't always showing the full story, and that they're probably very fully supported to enable them to kind of do something like that. Or maybe they don't carry the commitments that you carry. Life is different for all of us, right? Which is why I'm so, so passionate about building something that is aligned with who you are. But as we move through these different stages in our business, and even move through these different stages in our life, right? Like when if you have baby, or if you have a new relationship, or maybe you're parting a relationship, maybe you're moving house, maybe, or whatever it is in life, right? Maybe there's an illness, something is happening where life is lifing and is asking something from you. And we're not asking you to fake positivity, because when you fake positivity, you're actually operating from a place of contraction. But it's about kind of understanding that sort of life, business, all of it, it is in motion all the time. It is a living entity, and we move through different chapters, and those chapters make up our seasons. And we can either choose to go into those chapters and those seasons from a place of like constriction, like feeling like, nothing's working out, there are no opportunities, there are no possibility, like just feels icky, right? Or we can choose to kind of challenge the universe and literally go, show me. Show me the opportunities, show me the possibilities, right? Show me how this emerges. What wants to emerge from me? Show me, show me, show me, right? And that is an invitation that when we say show me, it is literally an invitation to say, give me more, show me more, right? And what you're also then saying as an underlying theme is that this is something that is, I am worthy of. This is something I deserve. And so I think when we operate from a place of expansion as well, this is where joy gets poured into it, kindness, happiness, you know, just all these kind of incredible, beautiful, highest expression in terms of like feelings. Peace is also another one that sits there as well. And I think the more and more that we return back to a natural rhythm of who we are, and we figure out actually what's going on in here, we figure out what we truly like, we figure out what it is that we truly want to do with our lives, we figure out kind of like what it is that we want to play with in terms of creativity, we figure out who we would like it to be in our friendship groups, who we want to have relationships with. All of those things is something in motion, is possibility in motion, right? And it's that possibility in motion that creates the expansion. So yeah, so today's video is slightly different because I'm kind of musing a bit here as well. But I just wanted to really jump on and talk to you about it because it's been something that's been on my mind. And I think, I talk a lot about creating a conscious business. How do you create a business with intention and with softness, etc. And intention and softness comes from a place of expansion. Because when you're doing something intentionally, you're not forcing it, which is its opposite. When we force something, we operate from a place of contraction. But when we actually create something with intention, i.e., it feels aligned, it's something that just feels like we want to actually bring forth into the world. That's allowing possibility, that's allowing opportunity, that is expansion. But then we also kind of get challenged with, well, I would like to, welcome more resources, more money into my life, right? I've got financial commitments and things. And yet the reality might be showing you something different. I say reality in quotes, but you're looking at something different, right? You can either choose to look over here and kind of go, well, am I a half glass full or am I half glass empty? Which one am I going to be? And I actually asked that question this week on Substack. I sort of asked everyone over there, are you half glass full person or a half glass empty person? And somebody over there really made me chuckle because he replied and said, I've got glasses half full everywhere. And I was like, that's amazing. To me, that's like life in motion, right? That's possibility everywhere. So maybe let's be more like Matt. Let's be lots of half glasses full everywhere, right? And see if we can kind of operate or catch ourselves operating from a place of expansion rather than contraction, because it makes us feel better as well. And I also think we're then open to more opportunities, we're open to more possibility of things. And if you ever can't get yourself out of that place, then just take a deep breath, just settle for a moment, and just literally just ask the universe, show me something better, show me something more, show me the possibilities, right? Just ask and see what happens. All right. I send you much love. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.